What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Blood Phantom 81. So in this video I'm going to give a little bit of a life update. So I'm maybe like 70 to 80% done with closing on a property. It's not like a done deal yet, but I'm pretty close. Where we're at right now is I'm trying to see if I can get some credit from the seller, because we did a home inspection. We found like some very minor things with the property, like shouldn't be too bad, but still I'm trying to get as much as I can from the seller, just so I don't have to pay as much, obviously. So we'll see how that goes. They still have the right to decline that, and I'm also getting an appraisal done probably this week. So anyway, things are in the works right now. Now I want to talk about the journey a little bit. So I spent 2 days looking for properties. I really liked 2 of them. This was one of them. This was actually my first choice, and that was like I think a couple of Saturdays ago. And then by Monday morning we put an offer on the #1 choice that I had, and I want to say 3 hours later the seller like wanted to move forward with it. So honestly, from the time I saw it to the time that we were already in escrow was like just a few days, which is like super rare. So like, I don't know, pretty fortunate that it worked out that way. I'll talk a little bit about the property too. So it's a 3-bed, 2-bath in a really nice area. And one thing I want to talk about, I kind of let you guys down. I kind of let myself down, because I did the one thing that you're not supposed to do, which is fall in love with the property. Now, when you start to really like a property, you don't think about it as a business anymore. Obviously, I still plan on doing the live-in then rent strategy, but I was less concerned with the numbers and if it makes sense. And so one thing is that it's not going to cash flow if I rent it out, in the sense that if I were to move out next year and then find some tenants, it's not going to cash flow. And so yeah, I started to not think about it as a business investment. And there was another property that was more of a business investment, but that one wasn't going to be accepting offers until like later on in the week. And so yeah, it was like just not the best timing, I guess. But anyway, as far as the positives of this property goes, the reason why I liked it so much was it was the biggest one that we had seen so far. Like, it just felt super roomy. It's like a condo slash townhome, but it really feels like an actual house, to be honest. If I end up getting it, I'll probably make a video about it, like do a walkthrough or something, but it's pretty nice. And the area that it's in is fantastic. So it's like maybe a few minutes away from like the top university in my area, and then it's also a few minutes away from the top high school in my area, and then another like 5 minutes away from like a really cool middle school. And the area is just like really great, in the sense that like there's restaurants and like, I don't know, boba lounges and stuff like that. Just like a really nice area that you would want to go. It's also very central to a lot of stuff, so it's like a city feel, but like not too city feel, also not like too suburban either, just something in between. There's some really great grocery stores around there and stuff like that. So yeah, prime area. So I think like it's going to attract some pretty high quality tenants, or at least like I should get my pick from tenants. I should be able to be pretty flexible with how much I charge for rent. So yeah, overall I'm happy with that part of it. Now, what to do with the property that doesn't cash flow? So 2 things. One is I'm going to house hack it. So as I mentioned, it's 3 beds, 2 baths. It's a pretty big place. I don't need all that room. It'd be going to waste if I didn't house hack it, to be honest. And so that's the one thing I plan on doing over the next year. And if I have 2 roommates, it should actually lower the mortgage by over half. So I'm not going to be necessarily cash flowing, but that's okay, right? I mean, it's going to help keep me afloat and not necessarily pay way too much on the mortgage. Helps me like save for like another down payment, or just, you know, reinvest that cash or whatever I want to do with it. And the second thing is actually the opportunity to refinance somewhere down the road. Now, what I mean by refinance, so obviously because of inflation, if you own a home, inflation is actually your friend, because the mortgage payment stays the same, but money is worth less in the future. And so it's almost like your mortgage payment is actually decreasing. And in about 5 years, what I can do is actually do something like a second down payment on the house, and then refinance it, similar to like a mortgage recast. And then the payment on the property should go down. At that point, the property will cash flow and everything's gonna be okay. Now, this idea is something that I actually learned from a Bigger Pockets podcast real estate agent. And one thing I'm also pretty excited about is that I signed up for Bigger Pockets, basically, which is like a online community for real estate minded folks. And I actually spoke to a real estate agent this morning, and it actually went super well. And so I think for my next property, I'm going to be working with an agent that's more like investment savvy, which is basically what I was looking for anyway. And something I talked about in my most recent video about real estate. So real estate as an investment is super practical in the sense that it's so tangible and it makes so much sense. And that's why a lot of folks like it so much. It's not my favorite investment. I still prefer the stock market like 10 times out of 10. But I'm explaining why I think it's so popular is because these concepts make sense. Equity makes sense. Debt makes sense. A broken pipe makes sense. Poor roofing makes sense. Poor insulation makes sense. Fixing up a junker, etc. Like all these concepts make sense. People can wrap their heads around it. Do you know how many people understand my videos when I talk about inverse head and shoulders? I know there's a few of you that do. So props to those guys. But me using lines to predict where the market's gonna go, using more lines, it's just weird. It's just weird. Now, obviously, it makes sense to me, and I don't care who gets it or who doesn't get it. I'm just saying that a lot of concepts in the market don't really make sense to people. They're like, oh, this news catalyst is supposed to make the stock go up. Like, why isn't the stock going up? It's just like, maybe that's not what makes the market go up, you know? Or like, yeah, it's just not really for people, I think. They think way too practically. The market's very weird, driven by sentiment, in my humble opinion. And it's not gonna make sense to a lot of people. And with that being said, if I do poorly in real estate, it's not because real estate sucks. It's because I would have sucked, right? It's like, there's some real estate folks that are like, yeah, I don't like the market because X, Y, and Z. There's nothing wrong with the stock market, right? Because there's some folks that are killing it with the stock market. It's just that they sucked at the stock market, right? That's not their game, and that's okay. And so if real estate doesn't work out for me, it's because I did a poor job, right? And so I'm gonna find ways to make it work, basically, because I know that some people make it work, and it's not that hard to make it work. So like, why can't I make it work? So that's basically the idea here. And so I guess that's gonna be where I wrap up the video, guys. Don't want it to get too long. Basically, things are going well. Things are gonna be going even better in the future, I hope. And yeah, I'll keep you guys updated and catch you in the next one.